Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelly Hoffman. Hey everybody, it is Shelly Hoffman and Mayor Dick Clarke. How you doing today, Mayor?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty
good. I wish it would be more sunshine, but
I got to be on a roof the other day again, kind of looking. This time I got to look over the city of Syracuse a little bit, not just the village of Baldwinsville. And it would be perfect if we had a blue sky, and we don't have a whole lot of blue skies around here. That's the only down thing, I think.
That's always been one of the complaints by people. I can put up with snow if there was some sunshine.
Yep, I agree. So, but there's bigger.
What building were you on?
It was on West Genesee. I don't know the name of the building actually has a name per se, but it's by like the Infinity car dealer and whatnot. But just kind of getting an overview of the building all the way from the basement. And when I say I top and somebody tells me I can go to the roof too, I'm like,
oh, wow, you're done.
Yep.
Let's go.
So what do you got for us today in the village, Mayor?
Well, we got a real mixed bag. First, we were very sad Friday to hear of the murder-suicide on Triangle Place, and cost the life of a young student at Durgee. And clearly, she made a big impression on people based on the candlelight vigil Sunday night at St. Mary's. The church was packed, and people said, good thing that the code officer didn't show up, because the number of people in the church was probably well over the allowed limit of people.
And did you see? I watched her online. I didn't know the young lady, so I felt it should be filled. Obviously with the students and the people that knew her well. But I did watch online. There was over 1,000 people often that were part of the online viewing as well.
We were watching. My wife and I both watched, and it was very well done. The priest did a terrific job, I thought, of like playing up the kids. Because that's the ones that get hit the hardest, is the kids of the same age that not used to dealing with that kind of stuff. I'm old enough. I've had parents die. I've had friends die. You don't get used to it, but you find ways to handle it. And it's not easy for kids. So I was very impressed by the way the kids performed, and very impressed with the way the priest kind of ran the whole thing and kept it up, tried to keep it upbeat and moving. And then one of the things I'd like to let people know is that if they're not aware of it, the funeral calling hours are tomorrow night, Friday, I think from 5 to 8 or 5 to 9. But what you should know is that Friday night, 5 o'clock, going to be an awful lot of cars in that area. That's the Word of Life Church on between Elizabeth and Oneida. So if you're in that area, coming through the Four Corners, expect that you might have a lot of people driving around who don't know exactly where they're going, maybe from other schools. Who knows? I know that Baldwinsville played West Genesee the other night, and both the boys and girls teams from West Genesee did something to acknowledge the loss of one of the Baldwinsville athletes. And, I thought that was really nice. So there's going to be basketball, soccer players, whoever from all over the county coming to pay respects and not knowing where they're going.
School also, Mayor, I don't know if you're aware, but there was supposed to be a basketball game that night, and the school moved it to tonight so that there wouldn't be a conflict for the kids in that regard.
I figured they would do something I hadn't heard, but and then the funeral is on Saturday. But I think we have a traffic issue. Nobody can dodge that. And it's going to be a little worse in that part of the village. And there might be other parts of the village as people who from outside try to figure out where they're going. And so there may be some cars going slow, looking for streets. So be a little patient, and, we'll get through this. And, somebody said, just not used to this happening in Baldwinsville. On the heels of the girl getting shot in the city and killed, you don't even get used to it in the city. It happens more often, but not everybody gets used to that. It's very sad, kind of tough. Two young ladies, very promising futures gone. What does that do to our world? We need those people. So hats off to our police department was right involved with all of it. And, I can't imagine what it was like to walk in that house the first time, as a police officer, not knowing what you're going to find and then finding what you did find. And I hope people really do appreciate what police officers give to our community, and ours are special. So hats off, tip of the lid to our police department. Chief Leffencheck called me up in the morning and gave me a heads up what was going on. He had a press conference with the sheriff, and they handled it with class. Really nice. And sometimes good things come out of bad situations, and you just see how well we are taken care of by our police department and that type of stuff. So again, hearts go out to the family of Ava, and hopefully we can move on but not forget. A couple other things to take note of. Quite a public outpouring the other night at the school board meeting to discuss the superintendent position. Those of us who know Joe DeBarbary know him to be an outstanding leader. He's the kind of guy that I've been in. Whenever I have to talk to him, I always feel like I'm getting a straight answer, no sugarcoating, and yet he tries to work with you to solve whatever the problem might be between the village and the school. If people didn't watch it, you should go on Pac B and watch it. It was, I guess, I don't want to say civic pride, but people are accused a lot of times of just sitting around and not doing anything, not speaking up. That wasn't the case. People spoke up, and I hope people are listening. I know I've heard Bob Wicks say before that the town of Lysander works hard to keep their taxes down and lower them if they can. We've lowered them this cycle by 60 cents a thousand, which is significant. And I'm a little disappointed overall in the school board. We just throw out there, here's another big tax jump. I don't quite get it. I hope that somebody someday takes a look and realizes that maybe with inflation going the way it is, and the towns and village are taking care of trying to keep it under control, and it appears that the school, I know it's hard. I know I don't want to try to judge their job, but it doesn't seem that the concern over raising taxes is the same as it is in our communities. So a lot going on with the school. And if you have an opinion, you should let the school know what you're thinking. Let the school board know one way or the other. Yeah. If you look outside, I can see out the window, there's not much snow. Some people.
It's cold, Mayor. It is cold out there.
Don't get away from the cold. But I'm a little disappointed with the snow. I was telling Chuck McAuliffe, the head of our DPW, that I know it's good for him. They're getting all kinds of extra work done that normally they wouldn't get done this time of year. But you think it might catch up with us in February, and we'd be buried, and people will be worn out trying to keep ahead of the snow. And it is still cold. But again, the DPW, if you've noticed around the village, have been working on tree removal. The tree contract has been in effect, and some huge trees have come down. Some that were in real bad shape, and we were late getting around to it as far as the contract. But they're working now very hard and just about done with the trees. I know that Chuck's crew has been working very hard on fire hydrant repairs, water leaks, and things that would otherwise be a real problem because people would be in snow plows all day, and there wouldn't be enough bodies maybe to get some things done quickly. But they've been able to do that. And they've been able to do some work on some of the vehicles that needed to be tended to. So there's pluses and minuses with no snow. And I do feel bad with the snow because I have friends who like to snowmobile.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people love to cross-country ski, downhill ski. And, I don't mind if they get 5 or 6 inches and they got enough to do some of that stuff for a month or two. And it's an industry. you hate to think that people that live for this every winter, up around Barnes Corners and those areas, the bars and the restaurants, this is their state fair. Right. This is their New Year's Eve type thing. And maybe they got more snow up there than we have. I don't know, but they can't have much more. And so I'm not rooting for snow, but I also understand that if we get it, there'll be some people pretty happy.
Well, I am part of the big chill, which I'm sure you're going to talk about on Saturday. So there is a part of me that was just hoping the snow would stay away until Sunday morning. Well, Sunday morning I'm flying out. So how about Sunday afternoon? But I did talk to Chuck today because for those of you that know the big chill, the Best and Bowls in a tent, which sits on the basketball court area. So that has to be plowed off. And to your point, all the times, conversation with him today, they said they'd get down there, plow it off and kind of keep an eye on it. There was one year the ice was so thick that we had like garden tools out there just chomping the ice all day long to keep people from sliding all over the place. So I did offer from my backyard to walk through and shovel the court. I was really hoping Chuck didn't take me up on that. So
well, it's been interesting because some years that we have to bring a backhoe down there to chop the ice. I mean, garden tools wouldn't handle it. Chuck will go down with the backhoe, and the ice is this thick, right there by what we used to. That was the beach when we were kids. We swam there, and the village had lifeguards, and it was really pretty cool. So it's interesting when you're there to think about all the times hanging out with kids and running over and getting a whistle pop. There's like a sucker that looks like a whistle, and they sold those in the stand, and you'd whistle for a while, and then you'd chew it up, and maybe you'd have a hot dog. And it was really a real nice place to be in the summertime. They had swim lessons. The Red Cross put on swimming lessons for kids. We had a raft out that you had to be able to swim a length of the rope and back before you could go out to the raft. And there'd be a lifeguard out there on the raft so that you couldn't, but you could dive off, and it was kind of cool. And so now this is about the only beach use they get out of it. And I don't know if what the weather's supposed to be between now and Saturday as far as temperature. I don't think there's any ice on that part of the river.
There is no. I can vouch from the balcony of the back of my house. There's no ice out in that water just yet. So, and I don't see it really happening. No matter how cold it gets, Mayor, I don't think it's going to happen between.
Yeah, if anything, it would be just a thin, like a saran wrap looking thing of ice, and they could run through that. And you always have the state trooper dive team out there making sure everybody that goes in comes back out. That's always a nice thought. So the big chill, for people who aren't aware, is this Saturday. From noon to 2 is the actual diving into the river by the less than sane group of people, but it's all for a good cause.
I'm not doing it this year, but that doesn't mean I'm not jumping again next. Too many responsibilities this year for me, and again, I'm leaving, but it's not as bad as you think, May. I really, I'm just saying, one of these years, you and me, I say we do it together.
Yeah, my wife will be standing there with a shotgun. Won't let me go. But the real highlight of the whole day is the pub crawl from 4 to 8 that night. And you go around it. Again, I compare it to the Margarita Fest for people who are more familiar with that in the warm weather. But it's going from establishment to establishment, and you buy a $10 card or whatever, and you get stamped, or you get a ticket or something everywhere you go. Yep. And then if you go to all the places, or a certain number of them, you're eligible for prizes, and you get to see a lot of people walking the streets, and it'll be a little easier to walk without a foot of snow or 2 feet of snow at every crosswalk. And not that our guys wouldn't have the streets.
I'll be dealing at San Miguel's this year. Normally I'm at Sammy's, but this year I'm downstairs at San Miguel's dealing. And I want to mention that if you want to get your pub crawl tickets early, the pre-registration party is tonight at WT. I think it's like 5 to 7. I might have the times wrong, but they announced yesterday that you could get the pub crawl. So you're not either getting it at the event in the morning or going in at night and hurry up and getting it. You can get them beforehand. Plus you can see some guest bartenders pouring, some local celebrities around this area pouring some beer. So it's fun.
A lot of fun. And also should mention that at the Big Chill inside the tent, will be a lot of the local restaurants will have. I don't know if they give samples, sample
What
size portions.
It's $5 to get into the tent, and then you go and you sample everything, and then you vote. It's called Best in Bowl, and you
Yeah.
vote. I think Angry Garlic's won the last 2 years, maybe. So somebody's going to give them a run for their money this year. I can feel it, but I don't know who it's going to be. But it's always good food, and it's warm. It's warm in the tent. It's worth the $5 to get inside.
I got lucky one year. They wanted celebrity judges. Mm-hmm. And so I got to be one of them, and I got to go around and taste all the food. I mean, everything was good. Some were a little better, but I mean, there wasn't one that you went, oh, I will pass on this one. Everything was good. I was wishing the portions were bigger because I could have sat down and pigged out a little bit. But it's great if you've never been to some of the restaurants in town and don't know what their specialties are. I mean, if you don't, well, I've never been a huge garlic fan, but I'd like to try something they have. Well, they'll have something with garlic in it that you can see if it's to your liking. And I saw today on Facebook, we're getting very close to Angry Smokehouse.
Yes. The menu's up for anybody that wants to see what's on the menu. A small menu. Jeff Rogers, the owner, did say they would expand, but they're going to start small and kind of work out like any kinks or anything like that, and then go bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like I would compare to the kid at Christmas, right? Like they're opening, the menu's getting bigger. It's like they just keep building the anticipation.
Yeah. It's very exciting. I think people around here will be thrilled. It's nice. Everybody always used to talk about going down to, and I've gone
Dinosaur.
And, all the ribs and the different food options that are all barbecued and grilled and stuff. And now we'll have it right in the village. And it's liable to become a place for people all around the state to come to, like in nice weather. Well, we live in Watertown. Let's take a drive down to Baldwinsville and eat outside at the smokehouse. So very exciting stuff. I have told people, I was talking to somebody from outside the area, and I said, you would not understand how good the local businesses have been, particularly during the COVID, of keeping themselves marketable, keeping themselves operational, and have they survived. I mean, you see the businesses in the city and other communities that are closing down because they got so far behind during COVID and they just can't catch up. They can't get anybody to work. I hope someday our government realizes they got to make a few changes in unemployment or whatever and say, if you're capable of working, you ought to be working instead of getting paid to stay home. And, that's beyond my control. I just got to hope. Tomorrow's a monumental day for the village. And in some eyes, it won't be a good one, but Mo Butler is retiring as village clerk. I'm very happy that she's going to be able to have time. She's got grandkids and they like to travel, and she's worked very hard. The village clerk's job is maybe the toughest, along with the police chief, might be the toughest job in the village because of the personal contact with everybody. I mean, she's the face. That person is the face of the village. For many years, it was Rosemary Johnson, and then Mo took over. And if you come in with a tax gripe, you get to talk to Mo. If you come in with a question, usually Mo is, because of her experience, she's the one that can answer the question. Not that some of the other people can't, but it happens a lot that it ends up being Mo. And even for me, I mean, I have questions constantly, and what is the rule about this, and how soon do we have to notify somebody about that, and where do we stand with this? And Chuck is in there constantly, and Mike Leffenchuck will be in and checking on things, and Ruth Troy from the senior center comes over and has a question on the budget for Mo, and Mark Baker relied on Mo a lot as he started as treasurer, because she was the treasurer before she was the clerk. So it's very difficult to give up people like that. I'm happy for her husband, Bill, and I'm sure they'll enjoy retirement. Doesn't mean I got to like it. And I said to people, It's no knock on her replacement. Jody DePaulis has done a great job. She and Mo work well together, and I think Jody will step in and do a great job. So it's nothing about her. It's just, it's like I shouldn't say this because Mo hit me in the head, but it's like a favorite pair of socks that when you need to feel comfortable, you put.
You're lucky. You're lucky she's done tomorrow after that comparison.
But you just like, if I would call Mo up about stuff that wasn't even to do with the village, just to mention I saw somebody and did you ever know them? And I think I just saw them the other day, and run it by her because she was at the pulse of everything. I mean, everything seems to go through Village Hall, and of course she's in charge. So good for her, not necessarily good for us as far as personality. We'll miss her, but just hope she has a great retirement. If anybody has dealt with Mo and would like to wish her good luck, you've got till about 3:00 tomorrow to do it. Another round of Main Street grants going in. Tomorrow's the deadline. I think we've got about 9 businesses that are looking to upgrade their facades. This is our third go around. We're well over $1 million in improvements in the village. I think that's just outstanding, and hats off to Ryan McMahon for pushing this program. I'm of the feeling that this may not be the end of it, because it seems as more people get going and people start looking at Ballsville going, look at all the work they've done. Why doesn't our village get that done? It's because maybe they didn't really look at that as something that was viable for them, and find out Greg Humphrey's done a lot of work to get this organized and put the packages all together. He's done it. This is the third time. You were like our very first one, not only in the first group, but you got yours done first. Yeah. So you're the example we always use. Look at follow Shelley's lead. So hopefully we'll get good news before too long, and maybe by summertime we'll know for sure that we're set, and then people can start looking for contractors and get the work done. And hopefully that by next year we'll look at our village and say it's a whole new face. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 buildings that didn't get done, but because some of them were done not too long ago on their own. Yeah. But even some of those got more work done. So that to me is great news. Great for our business owners to be able to put it. It's going to be like a 70-30 type match, roughly. The county will pay 70% of whatever the cost is, and the owner will pay 30%. So there is some investment by the owner, which is good.
Right.
But the county is taking the bulk of it. So,
well, and in some cases, Mayor, the work needs to be done regardless. So right. If you were going to pay 100% and now you have somebody paying 70%, I mean, you couldn't ask for that. Right. Almost like a gift at that point. Right.
So hopefully at some point, people will ride through the village and say, this place really looks pretty spiffy. We got a lot of new, facelifts on a lot of the buildings. And let's see if there's anything else I want to. Oh, the fire department had its annual awards night, installation night, and whatever. And they recognized 3 people for extended service, 2 of them for 40 years in the fire department, Bernie Stolewski and Tony McIntyre, and then Tom Perkins for 60 years.
Wow.
Imagine being 60 years in the fire department.
Yeah.
Granted, he started probably when he was in high school, because the Perkins family has been at the heart of our fire department for forever. And Tom has been there since probably like a high school senior. So hats off to our fire department. Trying to see if there's anything. I got just a couple notes. I think I mentioned all those. The trees, Christmas trees, have been picked up. If you have a tree that you're just taking down now, you may want to leave it by the side of your house and put it out in the spring for when the brush pickup starts. You might call the DPW, and maybe if they're out for something else and they have somebody going by in this area, wherever you live, they can throw it in the back of a pickup truck. But at this point, all the Christmas trees that were thrown out at the curb have been picked up, and they will be ground up shortly. And it's hard to keep doing that because you know that you're going to get caught with snow and ice stuff. I know I saw a truck go by this morning. Chuck said they were putting salt down and kind of scraping the road if it looked like there was some ice. I don't know what the forecast is, if we're supposed to get heavy snow. But the temperatures are staying pretty steady around, 30 degrees every day, 32, 33. So I don't have anything else that I can think of. A lot going on, lots of,
Yeah.
SU basketball keeping me interested, and all the high school sports are going full speed and doing quite well in Baldwinsville. So we're in good shape.
The only thing I want to throw out there is if anybody hasn't taken advantage of dining weeks, it's not too much longer. So the Beeville Dining Weeks is going on right now.
That's true. I forgot to mention that because it already started, but it's still a chance to get a special. They have a dining week special. If you go on the website of each of the businesses, if you're interested in, they'll tell you what the special is. And let me just check one thing to see here. There was Man and Woman of the Year nominations. February 17th is the deadline. This is basically people who volunteer work in the village. They're in different groups that help out. It's a long, storied list of people, great people who have just done so much for our community. Some of them you didn't know. They get nominated and win the award, and people start reading what they do, and you say, I've never seen this name.
Right, because they don't get recognition. They're behind the scenes helping everywhere they can.
And every time somebody needs a person, they're there. And so somebody finally gets recognized, and I think that's terrific. I mean, there's people around the village who volunteer, who everybody knows them, and they get a lot of recognition because they run into people in the diner or someplace. Hey, saw you. We're helping. Well, that's great. Nice job. Don't forget, we have the World Carp Tournament coming in May. They are preparing for that. That's all I got.
Well, that's still always a lot, Mayor, that we have going on in Beeville.
And that's the nice thing. Don't forget the traffic situation possibly tomorrow night. That's a big thing. I don't want people to be caught in people trying to pull into the parking lot at Word of Life and slow moving, and now you get stuck behind them and you're supposed to pick your fish up and you're 20 minutes late getting there. Go around that area and try to avoid it.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, thank you for your time as always, Mayor.
Have a good trip.
And I'll see you in the water at the plunge.
Ha, ha, ha.
Bye, Mayor.
Bye-bye.